welcome to Anime Territory. I'm your host this week, Jonny. I just know what I know, Ruhal, and Ben Shabababing.
Shabababing. Did you just stutter?
Oops, I stuttered.
Okay.
You're supposed to say, don't add an extra ba in my name.
Oh, sorry.
And then I would say, oops, I stuttered.
I got what you were doing there. I just didn't.
I should have. This is what I was debating if I should run it by you or not.
Oh, okay.
I'm like, should we just fully realize the bit, and look it up, and get the phrasing right? It's too late. We spoiled it.
Spoiled it.
This week we're talking about Bakemonogatari, which is my first pick. Steins Gate was a co-pick, but this is my first pick for the year of bangers. Your pick was Fate Zero. So far, good track record. Today, I want to know: did I pick correctly? Did you like this show?
I did like this show.
Okay,
it's a banger.
Okay, I was like, a part of me is just worried because it'd been a long time since I had seen the show. I really like the show. I've seen a lot of the sequels, not all of them. Don't kill me. That's to the fan base, not you.
Okay. And
it is, it's really good stuff, and people like it for a reason. It's also kind of hard to recommend to people sometimes.
I can see that.
Which is why I'll recommend Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Girls Senpai more often, because it's a little bit easier to swallow with the same premise.
Yeah. So if I were to describe the show, it's like Bunny Girl Senpai and Tatami Galaxy, kind of. Yeah. It's got the story of Bunny Girl, but it has the pacing and style of Tatami, I think.
Yeah, it's got its own style, I would say.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's stylized. It's very heavily stylized.
Not necessarily the same style, but it's stylized.
Yes, it is. It is stylized. There are things where you're like, is this art or is this cheaper than animation? And they'll go to different animation styles sometimes where you're like, well, this is just different. And they'll be like, you'll notice there are no background characters. There are background cars, but anytime they have to talk about oh, these other students bullied me, or oh, this adult figure was it's not somebody animated in the same way as them. It'll be cardboard cutouts, or it'll be a realistic photo of somebody. You don't get characters that aren't our main characters. There's not the closest we get are Araragi's sisters.
Yes, and
they are main characters later on. They have their own arcs. I assumed. So, but it's just okay, we barely see Shinjo Gahara's dad. I don't even know if we necessarily see his face. And he's got a whole episode dedicated to him.
Oh, he does?
It's the last episode, quote unquote, before
that doesn't focus on him. He has a scene.
Yeah. Well, a lot of the episode is based around them reacting to the fact that her dad is right there.
Oh, okay.
So even though he doesn't talk during most of that, and he really only talks during one scene, I would say a lot of that episode is focused around him because they are reacting to him being there.
Okay, I get you.
And we'll get a couple of other things where we might see a parent, sort of, but otherwise, there was no teachers being shown. It's really just our main characters, and that is, if it wasn't so heavily stylized, I think it would be weirder. I think it works with how heavily stylized everything is.
Yes. I think it would be boring if it wasn't stylized.
It would feel off if it wasn't. Yeah. It feels off, but this way it feels off intentionally.
Okay.
As opposed to, why are there no other characters here? If it was animated like Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Girl Senpai, you'd be like, why are there no background characters?
Okay.
But it's no, it's just... And it also helps that a lot of times they're in settings that don't necessarily... That wouldn't necessarily have other people there. The classroom, they're only in the classroom when it's after school hours.
Yeah.
They're oh, it's in a park on Mother's Day when people are going to be spending time with their family. Or okay, maybe, that's why it's empty. It's nighttime and we're looking for somebody. It's, empty streets or whatever. Mm-hmm. And like you'll see cars pass, which is the weird thing to me, I guess. But I guess they needed something. But yeah, that's it's definitely style heavy. I wanted to talk a little bit about the openings. Okay. So this thing does a fun thing where every arc has a different opening and completely different animation and different song, and the song is sung by the main girl of that arc.
Oh, okay.
So Senjo Gahara's voice actress sings Staple Stable. Mayo Hachikuji's voice actress sings On the Way Home, or whatever the Japanese name for that was.
Kaori Michi?
Something like that. Kanbaru's voice actress sings Ambivalent World. Nadeko's voice actress, which is Kana Hanazawa, sings Renai's Circulation. And Hanakawa's voice actress sings Sugar Sweet Nightmare, which is just... They're all good, I would say. What are your thoughts?
I'm kind of the opposite. I think they're all kind of mid.
None of them are amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was kind of thinking they were all kind of mid when we were watching the show.
Uh-huh.
When I was re-listening to them earlier today to just try to come up with a ranking, I'm like, these are all pretty good, but they're just good in different ways, and none of them are really like outstanding.
Mm-hmm. Renai's Circulation is the catchiest.
You think Renai's Circulation? I think that one's the worst one.
I think that's the best one because it's the catchiest.
I think On the Way Home, the second one, is the funnest and catchiest. That's the one where Hachikuji is like running around and there's all the different like versions of her and stuff.
That's my second choice.
I think that one's got the most fun like animation. I was also like looking at the animation a lot closer. This time around. Where a lot of times when we're watching it, that's like our breathing room. We're like, okay, I can check my phone. I can go to the bathroom. I can go grab something to eat, whatever, So I'm not paying as much attention. I think On the Way Home is the most fun. I think surprisingly Stable, the first one, has sort of a Radwimps vibe, like a Your Name soundtrack vibe at times.
Okay. I don't know.
I think
one for me, the song and the animation just did not click for me.
The animation is pretty boring until we get to see Senjo Gahara peeking out behind the skyscraper, and then she's a big girl stomping around for a second.
I don't remember that part at
all.
It's
right at the end of it. It's just like, oh, she's big.
Okay.
I think I like Ambivalent World best, the third one. That one has kind of got like a Japanese rock, pop punk sort of vibe to it.
Okay.
I think that's my favorite.
I ranked that one fourth, but it could be third.
I think Sugar Sweet Nightmare is my second least favorite.
Okay.
But it is the sexiest animation. Because it's just like a real person intentionally doing a sexy music video. So... those are my thoughts.
Okay. I thought as a whole they weren't great.
There's nothing that was like, yes, that. I need that in my life right now. And I really like, without having been able to rewatch them now, I don't know if I would have been able to gather these thoughts of them, just from our passing by. But I really like that they did it. I think
that's fun.
And I think they keep doing it through the shows. Every arc has a different opening, and a lot of times sung by the main character of that arc.
Gotcha.
But I don't know if that's a one for one always happens sort of thing. But I think they do it a lot. Okay, next thing I want to do is I want to talk about. Let's talk about our main characters a little bit here. So, and our premise, I guess.
Okay.
And or what are your spoiler-free thoughts right now?
Yeah, I thought it was great. I really liked it. It has really good writing. It's a 9 out of 10 for me.
Okay. I think I give this a 10 out of 10.
Okay.
But I think that's mostly a recognizing it objectively as something very
I just have a few qualms with it, which is why it's not 10, but it's great.
Yeah. And we can talk about those qualms in a moment here. Yeah, I think I give it a 10 partially because of how big it was, too. Like, not only is it a good piece of artwork, but it was insanely popular and I think insanely influential in things that I kind of have to, like, give it it's a classic and, it does what it wants to do. I'll give it a 10, which means masterpiece. Does not mean perfect.
So how popular was this?
I mean, extremely. I don't know how, like...
Well, I wasn't watching anime at that time, so...
It never had a dub, which I think is on purpose.
Okay.
Because it's a lot of Japanese wordplay in it, which doesn't always translate here. But I mean, there's a reason why there are so many seasons and arcs and stuff released of this show, is that it is just people keep watching it. I think it's one of those things where if you were watching anime at that time and consider yourself an anime fan, you have seen Bakemonogatari.
Okay.
Nisa Monogatari might have turned you off because it gets super sexual at times.
Oh, okay.
I shouldn't say like sexual as in we see sex, but it's just the fan service goes way up. That's where the toothbrush scene is
Gotcha. So that's the only scene I think I remember from the series.
Well, because it was famous.
Yeah.
And like there's another scene where it's like they're playing Twister and it's like, yeah, it's hypersexualized at times. I think it kind of calms down a bit after Nisa Monogatari as far as that goes. Not that that's not a constant presence in the show. Not that it wasn't a presence in Bakemonogatari, but...
yeah, this show's a little horny.
Is it a little horny? It's very horny. And it's... The horniness is the kind of the controversialness of this, which... I mean, do we want to get into the controversialness of it now?
Sure.
Okay. So there, like I said, the show is very... Well, the characters can at times be hyper-sexualized. And that is sort of acceptable in Japan for, like, high school characters. The problem is that there's a lot of younger characters in this show, too. And specifically, like, some of the interactions that our main character, Koyomi Araragi, has is wildly inappropriate.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if we can put some things... So there's a classic internet anime community debate in the Bakemonogatari like following.
Okay.
Is Koyomi legitimately a pedophile? And the answer is not really. But he'll do it for the bit.
Okay.
So like anytime he's interacting with Mayoi Hachikuji, he and like they do the bit where it's like he's fondling her breasts, which is something that happens. She's depicted as like 13 years old at most.
I want to guess younger.
I want to say like 5th grader is the thing there, so maybe 11 or 12. That is... First and foremost, I have to throw out the age-old cop-out of she died 10 years ago. So she is a ghost. She is a ghost. And is therefore not a human being, number one, and not as young as she seems. And mostly any of their interactions are like them doing a comedy bit.
Okay.
You can very much tell that like their whole thing is anytime they run into each other, it just starts as a comedy bit, and then they'll get into an actual conversation. But they have to do the bit first.
Is that also the thing, like, he's the only one that can see her?
Or other people can see her, but only if they don't want to be home. Okay. So, like, Hanekawa could see her.
Got it.
Because she did not want to be home.
Okay.
That is like, part of her apparition. And now that she's kind of graduated from what she was to something else... which they'll go into more detail on what's happening with her in later seasons. Where she's at as a spirit right now. I don't know what the rules are there, but other people can see her, but not everybody can. Senjo Gahara cannot see her because she did not have that feeling that attracts you to that apparition.
Gotcha.
So like that you can kind of go, okay, those interactions for sure are wildly inappropriate, but also look at all these circumstances, and it's mostly just for comedy.
Okay.
Next, the next lolly.
That one, I think it just goes just a hair over the line. I'm not gonna like whatever, like condemn it or anything, but for me, it just a little bit over.
I'm not saying that he's perfect. I'm just saying like, and I think his character definitely has that tendency, like that's in him. Mm-hmm. I'll talk about that a little bit more. I want to talk next about Shinobu, who is not a main character per se in this one. Mm-hmm. She has her own arcs at times, and she does not have a single word of dialogue in this.
Correct.
In this season. Mm-hmm. So her character, again, another young-looking girl, and their relationship is weird. You have to keep in mind that she looks like a young-looking girl because she lost all of her power. Mm-hmm. When they met, she is very much a sexy older lady character. Mm-hmm. And so, like, that, like, relationship, and she'll, like, fluctuate ages at times depending on how much power she has later on in the series.
So this relationship gets a little bit...
We definitely develop... This
one develops later in the series.
Yes.
Okay.
She has her own arcs.
Because
we get a background... Because we have to keep in mind that we skip 2 arcs, basically. There's... Bakemonogatari starts up, and he's already dealt with him meeting Shinobu and becoming a vampire as the first, like, oddity. And then Tsubasa Hanekawa, stressing out and becoming...
Golden Week.
Yeah. So those 2, like, story arcs are things that we will get later. But they have already happened chronologically.
But this was the first series of it, though.
This is the first series released.
Okay.
Now, books, I think, might have covered some of that. I'm not 100% on that. Okay. But this is the first anime series released. Mm-hmm. And they're just like, yeah, these are stories we'll get to later. But these canonically happen. They refer to them several times. Mm-hmm. Golden Week and Spring Break. Spring Break is when he became a vampire. Golden Week is when the first cat incident happened. Mm-hmm. And we sort of get a flashback to that in this. But we'll go into more detail on both of those in later seasons. I say we, as if I don't know if you'll keep watching this or not. That's something we'll talk about in
maybe. I definitely don't think we'll watch all of them.
It might have to be a sort of how we're treating Hunter x Hunter and Detective Conan, where we just kind of pick up a season every now and again.
Don't tempt me.
I'm going to tempt you here in a moment.
Okay.
Mike, I'll tempt you. So, because those are kind of evergreen series, we can pick those up at any point and talk about them. And I think this one can kind of serve the same function at times. Mm-hmm. I definitely have a hankering to I kind of want to keep watching stuff. I want to watch the stuff I haven't seen, but it'd be, at this point in my life, it'd be best if I kind of got caught up on everything too. Or rewatch things. So we'll think about it. No promises. May not be a podcast record thing either. Who knows? Anyway, so like I'm saying, that we don't see much of that relationship, but it is very much a thing later on, and it's very much, she kind of changes how old she appears based off of how much power she has. Okay. And there's definitely a time where this is way far spoilers, where she's back in full power mode. Oh. And just how sometimes, I can't remember if this is actually a thing or just a thing in my mind, but when Araragi is, his normal size and she's a small girl, he'll sometimes treat her how a dad will throw their kid or whatever and lift them up and play around with them and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. I think he sometimes treats her like that. And then when she gets big and it's just she's just towering over him, a head and a half taller than him, and she's just throwing him around and treating him like a kid, is a really fun scene. Mm-hmm. And then they're well, I've had my fun, and it's gonna cause problems if I'm still a full powered vampire, so I should probably get use up all my power again to go back to normal mode. But that's a thing, is it's not only is she hundreds of years old or whatever because she's an immortal vampire, but when we first meet her, she is not child, she is adult. Okay. So again,
that one, that relationship doesn't really go weird for me in this part,
in this series. Yeah, but I wanted to address it. Okay. Because I wanted to address both of those relationships in contrast with our third younger relationship, which is Nadeko Is it Sengoku? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And she is like 3 to 4
Same
years.
age as his sisters.
Yeah, so like 3 or 4 years younger than him, and has had a crush on him forever. For like the last 6 years, even though they haven't seen each other in 6 years. And there are scenes where she is most certainly trying to like come on to him later, and he very much like shuts that down, where he's like, no, I'm not. The only one that is actually like, hey, this is a person that is legitimately younger and not, he's just like, no, he shuts it down, which is kind of the defense that a lot of people bring up for him, is that, hey, sure, he might have these little like tendencies, but he knows when to shut it down, because people can't help having those tendencies at times. Like, it's more about having your own self-control.
Okay.
You know, it is definitely fucked up. But it is, well, we talk about Venture Brothers. Like, Sergeant Hatred is like a pedophile, but he's like, I know it's wrong, and you know, and he has moments where he breaks and he takes his no molestol.
No molestol.
But it's like how he treats her, and is like, oh no, she's nothing but a friend, and he's not interested in her whatsoever. Is kind of the defense people come to of like, see, look, he's not really. Like, those are there, but he knows to shut it off. He's not a monster. So.
Well, he's the 10th vampire.
Okay, yeah. So I wanted to bring that up because I would be remiss if I did not mention that stuff is in there. And if you get turned off by that stuff being in there, I completely understand. Like,
yes.
This is not the show for you. It's okay to feel like, hey, this is icky. But don't turn around and be like, oh, you like that show, you must be this. No, it's not that. It's more weird than that. Like, that stuff is there, but it is very much like part of the art / comedy of it. And the character, you know, his legitimate, when he shines through of like, he's not doing bits or he's not doing this, he's very much got his defenses up almost all the time, too. We don't see a lot of his inner... Well, first of all, he's an unreliable narrator, too. Not everything that happens can be totally believed. And that's plays into the artistic thing, too. Like, if he's telling a story, he's not going to mention that there's... Oh, yeah, there were 5 people across the street. You know, like, we don't need to see those side characters. They don't matter for the story. There are times when, like, his narration will legitimately conflict with his past narration. He'll be like, I don't know what's causing it. And then at the end of the arc, he's like, I knew all along what was causing it. Like, okay. But he's just, like, lying to himself, sort of thing. So. But anyway, I feel like if we didn't talk about that, it would be weird to talk about the rest of the show. So, it's there. We address it. It's icky. If you don't want to watch it because it's icky,
that's fine.
But it is still really good.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you have other qualms you wanted to bring up?
Just my other small qualm is I think the last arc goes a little too long.
Yeah.
It gets a little, I guess plotty might not be the right word, but it gets a little long in the tooth for me. Yeah,
it doesn't help that the first 2 episodes of that arc are really not tied to the last 3 episodes. The first one is like, we're going to give you a flashback to explain what kind of happened during Golden Week. And the second one is like, shit, we need to end the series here for TV. Let's have another Shinjogahara episode. Which, like, all right, I'm fine for that.
Yeah,
let's do that.
Can I be honest? That kind of slapped.
Yeah.
I kind of like that ending.
And then they're like, okay, we got 3 more episodes. Now we can actually finish this arc. And then a lot of it's just like...
You probably could have done this in 2.
Yeah, probably could have done this in 2. What are your thoughts on... Oh, I did want to like address the ending of... I don't know what I want to say here.
Ending of what?
I like how Black Hanakawa handled things at the very end. When she's just like, okay, here are the things we're looking for Shinobu. I'm fairly for sure she found her right away because she was hiding in Araragi's shadow, and she's like, okay, you can love Hanekawa. That'll cause me to go away. Mm-hmm. We can find Shinobu, or I can kill you. Those are the 3 ways of solving this problem. Mm-hmm. And I don't think she actually wants to kill him, but she acts as if she is going to do that to finally draw Shinobu out of hiding.
So you think she had no intention to kill?
Yes, because she's like, go a little bit further out. You're not casting a big enough shadow, is the line.
Okay, I got you.
So she was waiting for him to be in the right position so that he had a big shadow so that she could come out. So I think she detected it.
Which, that does make sense, because, like, real Hanekawa
would not want him to die. As much as, like, it hurts to be heartbroken and deal with this, like, you would regret having that person die. Yeah. So, like...
And also, Aragi was right. It's like...
That would not get rid of the stress.
Also, Shinji Ohara would kill her.
Oh, yeah. Yes, like, that's right. That's right. I love that that's his thing. He's always... That's one of his flaws as a person, is he's very willing to sacrifice himself.
Yes.
For, like, anybody else. And it's like,
anybody.
No. Like, no, man, you can't do that. Like, I mean, it was the first time it's really brought up, or it's brought up in force, is in the Kanbaru arc, where he's just like, I'll just let Kanbaru kill me, and then the problem will be fixed. That'll solve the issue. Like, I'll try to survive as much until, like, we break the demon's contract or whatever, but really, I'm fine with dying here. Mm-hmm. And then Shinji Ogahara is like, no, that will not solve Kanbaru's problems. The demon won't be able to fulfill its contract because I will kill whoever kills you. Like, that is, the paradox there. The demon needs to kill you for the contract, but if he kills you for the contract, then she dies and the contract is void. So, like, that's how they caught him. But it had to very much be there is a repercussion for you dying. So you can't just die. Otherwise, I will kill them. Mm-hmm. And that comes back up in the Hanekawa thing where he's just like, well, maybe if I die, things will be okay. And then it's like, wait, no, then, but because he's like, I owe my life to Hanekawa. So if I can trade it in, then that's fine. I'm fine with that. Like, wait a minute. That would defeat the purpose, because then she would die, because Shinji Ogahara would kill her. She'll find a way. It doesn't matter that she doesn't have any, like, oddity powers. She'll find a way. It'll happen.
It's kind of brought up in the Sengoku arc.
Yes. Where...
Not quite the dying part, but more of the having to save...
Everybody. Because the 2 people that cursed Nadeko... they're like, oh, one of those snakes is defeated, but if that other one gets away, then
it'll go back to
the person that cursed her, or comes around, goes around. And he's like, I'd rather he tries to, like, get in its way so it would attack him instead of that person. It's like, bro, you gotta, what comes around goes around. Like, you can't, you're here to save her.
You're here to
dying
save,
does not help save her.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's, and so again, he has to, and he will, like, keep coming back to that. And there's other flaws that he has, but yeah, that is one of his big one, is that he takes his own life for granted. He does not care about it so much.
Mm-hmm.
And he, like, refuses to not help people when he sees them in need of help. Like, yeah, you could leave all this oddity stuff behind you if you, like, just let the vampire, evil vampire apparition go. It's like, no, she's a person. To me, she's a person. So if I don't do this, then she'll die, and I can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. I mean, we kind of talk about the arcs. I don't necessarily at least talk about what each character and their thing is.
Yeah, I feel like we should at least do that.
So Shinji Ogahara is our first arc main heroine. And she is nearly weightless. It was taken away. Her weight was taken away from her by a crab, because it was a way of also taking away
the trauma she had in her life.
The trauma she had, which is dark.
Yes.
Then And we get the thing of like Oshino Mime is kind of a, I don't know how to describe him.
I wrote shaman.
Yeah, just like an occult specialist.
Yeah, he's like the grandma from Day to Day.
Yeah, that Araragi knows, and it's just like, yeah, he knows everything, but he's gonna talk in contradictions of like, it is both here and not here. It's, it's one of that like Zen shit of like, it is everywhere and nowhere.
Like he's gonna help you, but he's not gonna like do it for you.
Yeah, and it's like, no, I can't help you. You can only, I can't save you.
It's like, this is what you gotta do, but like, you gotta do it yourself. I'm
The
saying in this abandoned building.
And like, we're gonna have this like weird ritual, and this like actual like crab monster is gonna show up that you can see, but really you could have gotten rid of this all along if you just accepted your past and like were ready to live with it again. Because like the crab is doing you a favor. It's holding on to that trauma and all that heaviness for you. And all you had to do was be prepared to live with it again. Which is like one of those weird things. They do that, and sometimes I don't always like it, where they're just like, oh, you just had to do this all along, or you could have done it this whole time. And that can sometimes feel a little miffed about that. Like, well, like Wizard of Oz. It's like, oh, you could have gone home all along if you just tapped the ruby slippers and said, there's no place like home. You just had to know that you wanted to go home more than anything else. And
well, I think it's sometimes funny, though, because like in the monkey arc, they're just like, yeah, you can just cut your arm off. It'll go away.
Yeah.
It's like, no, we can't do that. It's like, okay.
And she's like, no, I'll do it. And he's like, no. I'll die instead.
Yeah.
You've got a basketball career to think about.
But yeah.
Yeah, so that's the first one. The second arc, he doesn't want to go home. He meets Hachikuji, Mayo Hachikuji, who is a ghost. They refer to her as a lost snail and or lost cow, which I think is a pun. Like the snail and cow characters look similar or something like that. But anyway, she's just perpetually lost, and if you try to help her find her way home, you'll just stay lost, and your sense of direction will go all over the place.
I think the first episode of this arc might be my favorite episode.
Yeah, we very much... It's not like Senjo Gahara is never mentioned again. She like asks him out that first episode, doesn't she? Or is that later?
Of episode 3 or episode like 1?
I'm talking, you said the first episode of this arc.
Yeah.
Which would be
episode 3.
Episode 3. Yeah. Is that when she asks him out? I don't remember exactly the timeline.
That's where she's like, I owe you one. What do you want?
Yeah.
And then she does some pervy stuff. Or like mentions some pervy stuff. But then in the end,
he's just like, nah, just buy me a juice or whatever. Yeah. And it's like, okay, I guess I just have to straight up ask you out. But I think she does that later then.
Okay.
I don't remember the exact timeline. But she's very much just like...
Well, at some point she's like, you're my boyfriend now. I just don't remember when that was. I think it's in this arc.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's in this arc. She very much is... I like how they do her attraction to him. Because there's that trope that a lot of people don't like of like, oh, of course she falls for the person that saves her life or whatever. And she's like, it's not because you saved my life. It's because you have the qualities of some, like, I respect the qualities of you helping people. Like, I like that quality of you. You could have saved somebody else's life near me and I'd be just as attracted, sort of thing. Which is very, like, okay, we're kind of distorting the trope a little bit of, like, it'd be lazy if it was just like, oh yeah, I fell in love with him after he saved my life. It's like, no, it's just sort of him as a whole, as his thing, that is what is attracting her to him. And I very much, then they don't like tiptoe around it either. Just like, okay, yeah, they're in a relationship now.
Yep.
We don't have to wait till episode 12 to
also like they have interactions before that, so it's like you understand where their connection's coming from.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Then their chemistry is.
It's there. Not like some shows where it's just like she meets the dude and automatically she's in love with him. It's like, no, there's there's steps to it.
Yeah, there's chemistry. She sees who he really is and his kindness for helping her with her thing. And now she's in a better place because of him. And then she's just like, okay, yeah, I'm attracted. We should... I really like the line where she's like, I did not want to show these clothes off to you. I wanted you to see me in these clothes. Or something along those lines. Where it's very much just like, I bought sexy clothes and I wanted you... I didn't want to show these clothes off. I wanted you to see me in them.
This might be my favorite arc.
This one? The Miami arc? Okay. I feel...
I just really like the aesthetic of that playground.
Okay.
It's
a weird playground.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a favorite arc. I really like the scene where Araragi is like, all right, I'm vamped up. We're going to lock ourselves in this room. This is the next arc, the Kanbaru arc. And we're just going to fight the Rainy Devil. And it's just like, that's a beautiful fight scene. And lots of like fun use of colors and stuff. Which I thought was longer than it was. I'm like, I was like expanding that out in my brain. But it's kind of short, actually.
I might have a hot take, but it'll probably come up later.
I mean, do we want to talk about the third arc now, Saruga Monkey?
Sure.
What's your hot take?
Kanbaru might be my favorite girl. Might be best girl for me.
I like Kanbaru. I do.
Kanbaru might be my best girl. I know it's not right, but that's my choice.
She is a lot of fun. She's a pretty important character. It's weird. Her mom is like, her dead mom was an important, like, occult person.
Oh, okay.
So we mentioned like Mimeo Shino is like this sort of like weird occult person, and he disappears at the end of the season, and he might show up at some point in some series that I haven't seen yet. And obviously there's flashbacks, but we really don't see him again. Instead, we get introduced to other characters that fill a similar role in different ways, in different like friendliness versus not friendliness with our main characters. And it all kind of like, they all kind of know each other from college.
This is into a weird occult college?
Yeah, they were in like a weird like club or whatever in college together. And some of them are like looking for him. Some of them are like, yeah, I do the same thing. One of them is just like a con artist asshole.
Okay.
But is also strangely, a lot of people say that he is the best girl.
Okay.
But like you would not get that from his first, because he shows up in Bakemonogatari and somewhat in like second season too. But then there's just like, okay, there's sort of this older generation, this next generation up, that knows some of like the meticulous stuff of the spirit things, and they are sometimes a hindrance and sometimes a help.
Gotcha.
And sometimes they're good people but still a hindrance because they don't like align with, you know, the goals of our people. And sometimes they are bad people but still a help.
I gotcha.
And Kanbaru's mom is sort of like in that mix too. So like there's a time when somebody's like, I really don't want to help these people, but I also really, or it's like, I have no reason to help these people, but I need an excuse to help them because I really want to help them. And it's like, can I do it for this? No. The money? No. Can I do it as like returning a favor to Kanbaru's mom? Yep, I could do that. Okay. I've got my reason for helping now. Let me go help. And it's like, okay. So, yeah, like her family and her, specifically her mom, are kind of like deeply intertwined with a lot of this stuff. There's an arc where Kanbaru is the main character.
Ooh.
It's a year later.
Okay.
Like Koyomi and those guys have graduated, and Araragi sort of fills the mentor role at some point.
Cool.
That's when we see his car.
He gets a car?
Yeah, he gets like a yellow Beetle, I think.
Is it Bumblebee?
Yeah, he gets the Transformer Bumblebee. Sorry, I'm spoiling stuff for other series. I don't think people care. If you do, you're not listening anyway.
I'm not watching them.
Okay. Then, yeah, the Kanbaru arc is she is insanely jealous of Senjogahara and Araragi spending time because she's in love with Senjogahara. And she's thought she had like a monkey's paw, but it is a rainy devil. She made the contract with a demon, and now the demon is possessing her body and trying to kill him to get him out of the way. And again, they sort of neutralize it by putting in that that catch-22 at the end of like, in order to get closer to Senjogahara, you have to kill Araragi, but as soon as you kill Araragi, you've ruined all your chances with Senjogahara.
Okay, so I guess the question I have in this arc is, does that demon eventually go away, or does she always have the monkey hands? I thought they said at some point like that the monkey stuff should go away in a couple months.
Yeah, I'm fairly for sure that flash forward arc I just mentioned, she's playing basketball again.
Okay.
So I think it sort of goes away.
So then the thought's just like, yeah, they caught him in a catch-22, so there's no reason for him to be there anymore.
Yeah, but there might be
just side effects or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
But don't quote me on that because I don't know if it ever really is confirmed or denied what happens there.
Okay.
You know, or if she still has powers. But she's got other arcs too, and I just don't remember what happens in those arcs.
But she doesn't have monkey hands.
I don't remember. Oh. She might just be bandaged the whole time. You know. Okay. But I like that arc too. Kanbaru is a lot of fun. I get it.
Yeah.
Would it change your mind if I told you that some of the characters that have long hair eventually cut their hair and get short hair?
Oof. Which ones?
So spoilers. I'm just saying this now. Skip like, I don't know, half a minute ahead. Senjogahara gets a haircut.
That one makes sense.
Hair, and Tsubasa Hanakawa gets a haircut.
Hanakawa does.
Mm-hmm. And maybe there's sort of like a haircut, but I don't know. Nadeko gets a haircut too, but it's not necessarily shorter. She like cuts her bangs at some point.
Who does?
Nadeko, the snake girl.
Gotcha.
She cuts her bangs at some point. And then from what I've seen, there's like a flash forward part where we see where she's much older and she's got short hair there too. But I don't think that's... It's not like she doesn't prevalently have short hair.
Gotcha. How short are we talking?
For her, if I remember correctly, fairly short.
What about the other two?
Maybe like shoulder length for Hanekawa, and maybe a little bit shorter for... You know what? I'm just going to pull up a picture. You're just going to... People at home are just going to have to Google Senjo...
This is very important.
This is required viewing. Short.
I needs to know. Okay.
So there's.
Oof. Okay, that works.
And then I'm gonna go next. Is Hanekawa. Short hair.
Hanekawa. We got a bunch of dead air now.
Her hair also, there's some stuff that happens.
Okay. That one doesn't work on her. Maybe it's because she's missing her glasses.
I mean, there's this too, which is without the white.
That's weird. I don't know if I like that.
She doesn't have her glasses in any of these photos. I don't know. She might stop wearing them.
Interesting. All right, moving on. That was hair talk.
We got to talk about the short hair. We didn't get it in this season. Except for Kanbaru, who had short hair.
Yes,
which is a plus. The next arc, Nadeko Snake. This one is okay.
This one's okay.
We get like Kanbaru, Araragi being sort of friends, She's very forward for being a lesbian.
Yes.
It's a very odd, like, triangular relationship that's happening with those three people. And then, Nadeko turns down a boy. Both the girl that liked that boy and that boy both curse her. And then because she tries to undo the curse in a very powerful spiritual spot, it actually curses her because she undoes it incorrectly. They undo one of the snake curses, realize, shit, there's a second one. They're able to, like, manually pry it off, and it, like, runs away to go attack the other one.
That's about it.
Yeah. There's some fetish shit going on, but other than that...
Yeah, we can skip that.
And then the last one, we kind of already talked about the last arc, the...
Tsubasa Cat.
So, what I want to do now is I want to do what all red-blooded Americans, all red-blooded Bakemonogatari American fans do, is we need to rank the girls. So...
I knew you were going to say that. Which ones are we ranking?
Let's do the 5 main arc girls, and then we'll leave Shinobu out because she's really not much of a character.
Okay.
If you want to throw her in somewhere, you can.
I'm good. Okay. I gotta rank the girls, huh?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I think I have my ranking. Nadeko is worst. Hachikuji is next. Kanbaru is third. Hanekawa is second. Senjugahara first.
I think I'm basically on your side.
That you might move Kanbaru up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Who was your last?
Last one is I put Nadeko.
Okay. Yeah, I think I agree with you. I got Kanburo first, then Senjugahara, then Hanekawa.
I think I would put Shinobu probably... I don't know. Either
for me,
right before or right after.
Just because there's not much of it.
Yeah, I know. Taking my knowledge of the rest of the show, I think I'd put Shinobu, either right after or right before Hanekawa. So somewhere in there. She's pretty cool.
Top 3 are all pretty close, though.
She likes donuts.
Well, the top 2 are pretty close. Hanekawa was in a distant third.
Distant third for you. Mm-hmm. She's got glasses.
Yeah.
And she turns into a cat girl.
Yeah, I don't like cats. Actually, I do like cats.
That's a lie. You like cats. I'm the one who doesn't like cats that much. Mm-hmm. Okay. What's the other thing I was going to say here about Bakemonogatari? Do you have any questions about like the oddities or anything like that? I think we already talked about this off mic, but
yeah, not really.
We mostly like addressed your qualms, I guess, was sort of what that section was. Talked about the art direction. We did our due diligence in talking about if he's a pedophile. We ranked the girls. We talked about the music arcs. We talked about each arc. Yeah. But yeah, I think I have to just give this one a 10 because of the impact that it had and the fact that it's really good. It's not just that it was really popular. Like, Naruto was really popular. I don't give that a 10. Dragon Ball Z, for me, Dragon Ball / Dragon Ball Z does get a 10, but really it's more like a 7 most of the time.
Gotcha.
But its impact and its importance in my life throws it way up. Because that was I don't know. I caught my first episode of Dragon Ball Z. I was really young, so like that really changed my life.
But yeah, it's a banger. Yeah,
I'm glad that I didn't. I was like too scared to ask before we recorded. Like, is Ben gonna like this or not? I didn't want to talk about it in case she didn't like it, and then this episode would have been really awkward. But
you thought I wouldn't like it, huh?
I don't know. You weren't like. There are times when I can tell when you really like something. Okay. Like when we're watching Sunny Boy or like the first episode of Kulan Generic Romance where we're just like, What? This is something. We're really vibing with it. And I can tell that sometimes. And there wasn't really much of that from this. You felt more clinical approaching it. But okay. Or maybe I felt in a weird space because I'm like, man, this is really stylized and Like, I know it's just a lot of talking, but I thought there was a little bit more animation going on. And like, it is very much a mile-a-minute show, which brings you to your point of when you talked about the Tommy Galaxy, where that's a very much a mile-a-minute show, too. But, yeah, this one, glad to know I picked a banger, and it was, in fact, a banger.
Yep.
So, should there be some sort of punishment if we ever pick a banger and we don't vibe with it?
I mean, shot him alert.
Okay. I mean, that's always our punishment.
Yeah.
We've got 1.5 bottles.
I mean, what is the other punishment?
I don't know. Like, you have to host 2 episodes in a row or something.
I already have to do that.
Yeah, pray I don't make you host 3 episodes in a row now that I've done 3. But yeah, that is Bakemonogatari. You can find most of it on Crunchyroll. There's 3 episodes that you're going to have to get creative finding, is what I'll say. And it's got a whole bunch of sequels, which I think, again, most of it you can watch on Crunchyroll. I think Koyomi Monogatari is something you have to get creative with, too. But that's a bunch of shorts that are kind of like interspersed in the timeline of like, hey, this one takes place between this and this. Here's this short. But yeah, you can find all that on Crunchyroll, and I'm sure other places. So you can follow us on Twitter if you really absolutely must. I check it sometimes. Most of the time, I just kind of left social media behind me. But I will try to check it. And you send me a message on there, I will send you a sticker. Otherwise, you can find us on YouTube as Anime Territory. And you can find us anywhere podcasts are found, basically, as Anime Territory. Should say on Twitter, we're at anime_territory if you're looking for us. So, you are now leaving the Anime Territory.
Goodbye.